Call this meeting to order. Let's see. If you wouldn't mind doing a invocation for us, sir.
All right, Paul Steinberg. Dear God, please protect us tonight with what's going on in the surrounding communities and with the weather that's approaching us. Please lead this board to make wise decisions this evening. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Mr. Jones, if you would lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. At this time, I'll have a motion to approve the minutes if everyone has reviewed or unless there's any sort of changes to be made.
I did not see him, so I'll make a motion.
I was not here.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, minutes are approved. All right, and we're coming back to some unfinished business from the last meeting, which I guess I got to miss some fireworks. So, we'll take it away, we'll entertain these two items. Both said item one is unfinished business, old business.
Yes, that's correct. Good evening, members of the board and residents. So tonight we are back for the continuance by the request made by the applicant is Mr. Nick Taylor on behalf of Blue Star Enterprises. And it is for the tractor supply located at 294 East Church Street. And they're seeking a variance from our city ordinance 9496, which limits the amount of metal accent on building facades allowed by the code, which is 10%. So just go over this again. The tractor supply is approximately 4 acres. It is zone C2. It is on water and sewer. It has frontage along East Church Street, and it is used as your general retail use. So your surrounding uses, all C2 uses except for an R1 that is located to the south, but you have CVS, Regions Bank, and the Cagle Funeral Home. And so the variance request is for relief to allow a metal siding on the cantilever front of the building instead of the cedar shake shingles that exist now. And and as stated before, the zoning ordinance allows 10% to be, and this is going to be approximately 30 to 40% as it is that cantilever portion that you see right there on the front. So the applicant did provide a letter from a structural engineer stating that the existing cedar shakes are approximately a quarter of the size and the weight of current shingles. New shingles are not an appropriate choice as they are too heavy, and they believe that this alternative metal will be more durable and economical as it is more lightweight. So as you know, there are 5 criteria that you need to meet all 5 criteria in order to have the variance. You have to meet all 5 requirements in order to meet the criteria for a variance. So the first requirement is, are there any extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular property? And this relates to soil shape and topography, so this item has not been met. The application of this ordinance is peculiar or particular piece of property will create an unnecessary hardship. So the applicant is electing to utilize this standing seam metal despite being other reasonable alternatives. We did reach out to one of our building professionals, and they informed us that there are other alternatives than just the metal that can be used. Such conditions being peculiar to this property There are other properties within the city that have similar awnings that are able to meet the requirements, and such conditions are not the result of the actions. Obviously, this is a preference. It is stated it's economical and durable, but there are other alternatives that can be used. And then relief, if granted, would not cause substantial detriment to the public good nor impair the purposes or intent of the zoning ordinance. As you recall, when the ordinance was updated, this was something specific that was put in as to address the ongoing use of metal, and it was something that the council and this body was part of the new ordinance to bring it down to 10% so we don't have all this metal. So this was very deliberate, and so it would also be a detriment to the zoning ordinance, as it would set a precedent for other buildings to come and seek this alternative. So staff recommendation, as you know, we base this off the regulations, so that we believe the criteria has not been met, and so staff recommends denial of the variance request at this time.
At this time, I'll like to invite the applicants, and then following the applicants, any members of the public to speak. And before, just as a baseline, this body is a advisory committee. We can make a recommendation for a denial or approval of the matters before us, but our decisions are not binding. The ultimate authority will lie with the council. It may come up.
Hang on just a second.
All right, good. How are you?
I'm Nicholas Taylor. I'm the owner of Taylor Construction. We're located out of Ball Ground, Georgia. We do a lot of work for Blue Star Enterprises and have done for a lot of years. We've always tried to abide by, all the state and county and city codes. I thought we've done a very good job of that. This particular issue, if you look at the counterlever on that, the counterlever is roughly about 11.5 foot. And the shingles that are there now are not manufactured anymore. I've called Sisson, I've talked to Timbertown, I've talked to ABC Supply, CRS, and tried to find a different alternative to what we could use on there. The biggest issue is the weight. If we used a traditional shingle like that you find on residential homes now and some commercial properties, the weight exceeds what the load of the counterlever is designed for. So when I talked to the engineer, she did a weight comparison to even using asphalt shingles, and it's just not, the weight is going to succeed what the structure is designed for. If you look at using she stated a standing seam panel, it's not standing seam, it's fiber of metal. It's the same thing that the Tractor Supply already has on there for their advertisement. But to go on there and to change this up would be a huge, you'd have to come in, add posts and beams and completely alter the front of the building to sustain the weight of going back with a cedar shake, asphalt shingles. We could probably put some roll roofing up there. That's the only thing that came close, but that's not gonna look, aesthetically, it's not gonna be pleasing. It's gonna be something that you see on a flat roof of another structure. So I went back and forth with the engineer, and in her determination with the structure the way it is standing right now, the only thing you can use is the 3 foot wide panels to put across the front of the building. We've explored a lot of different options, especially after I came in. I met with Emily and a few other people with the building department and went through all that with them. We went back to the drawing board. She done a lot of calculations on load, and this was the thing is, this isn't trying to be budget conscious. Ms. Cox that owns the building wants it done right, wants it to meet criteria, but the criteria that is demanding is what the structure can handle as it stands. So, that's pretty much, what we came down to. The engineer just included that it was, it was durable, Tractor Supply already has their logo and stuff on it. And 10% we were asking about, that's the whole structure, or is that just the front? Because the rest of the structure is CME block.
It's just
I
the
think it's
facade.
yeah.
But, at any rate, you can't exceed, the recommended load from the front of that building. This isn't trying to penny pinch or go one way or the other. This is what the structure will allow. And this was written by a state licensed engineer that also did all the work on the parking lot and stuff when we had the retaining walls that got rebuilt. We dug those 2 houses out of the parking lot and all that.
I have a question. You're talking about roofing material to go on the facade, and then we're talking about the tin. Is there nothing somewhat in between that we could replace the shingles with that would still meet the code and still look good and still go with your budget?
The shingles that are on there now are called Minsard shingles. They're mini shingles. They're not produced anymore.
Okay, but so let's get away from like the roofing type material. Is there nothing else?
But we've explored different weights of different materials. And like we looked at going with asphalt shingles. That's not an option because of the weight. By the time you get the felt on there, and then you get the starter strips, you get the, because the engineer and the calculations on felt, starter strips, shingles, nails, down to the flashing to do the cap of it, and it superseded what the structure can bear with that counterlever. Because you don't see a lot of counterlever buildings like this anymore, and it's not designed to carry a heavy load.
I don't think you're understanding my question. Can we get away from the roofing material, the shapes or the asphalt shingles or anything like that? Is there nothing else that could be used?
There's nothing. We've even looked at synthetic products, and like the cedar shake that are synthetic, they supersede what a standard natural cedar shingle would weigh.
Get a aluminum siding, do you run across that as opposed to the cedar shake?
I don't think aluminum siding would work with the way the building is built. As far as if you look at where the trusses are every 4 feet. They're spread out. So if you go in there and try to do the siding, you're going to be nailing into a 1/4-inch plywood. You're not going to be nailing into a true OSB, and it's not going to be the one thing you run into again is you're not nailing into studs, so it can be easily blown off.
Has there been any inquiry into any type of vinyl style products?
We've looked at the vinyl shingles, the synthetic shingles, the shakes, but once again, we come back to the weight, and the weight supersedes what a natural shingle is, and that's what we're trying to get away from.
Has there been a full inspection of the cantilever in itself to make sure that there's no rotting or anything where it's going to have to be replaced in itself within?
Yeah, the only thing that's damaged right now is what you see in the pictures is the aesthetics. It's not leaking inside yet, but it's going that way.
Okay. And you have you had it inspected, you have documentation for that?
The engineer inspected it.
I mean, I'll agree, it's an eyesore. I mean, it does very, very much look dilapidated.
And that was the whole reason that, we were coming in here to get this done, is we met with Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply was like, hey, let's do something with this, because Blue Star's responsible for all the roof and the parking lot and the retaining walls on the property, and Tractor Supply is responsible for everything on the interior. So that's the whole reason, that she made the move, like, hey, let's go ahead and get this fixed, is she was trying to be proactive as far as taking care of the property and, also, making sure that it would be up to what they asked for and require. You know, and then we ran into the issue with metal.
So what's the approximate weight that you're looking at for the synthetic versus the metal? Do you have those numbers?
I don't have those numbers with me. The engineer handles all that. She runs all the calculations on that. She basically writes pretty much the prescription of what needs to be addressed on a structural issue, and we apply the medication.
I mean, I agree that, you know, it would set a precedence for all the other, you know, the buildings and preferable, you know, with the ordinances that we were trying to say. I'm just looking at the documents here that, you know, it only, for more engineer, it only states, you know, asphalt or wood shingles at, you know, 0.65 pounds per square foot. So I'd be interested to know what the weight ratio is with the synthetics as well, just so it can make a more better educated guess or an educated decision on it.
I mean, I can look it up if you guys give me a few minutes and get back with you, and we can retouch on the subject.
Well, that's all the questions I have. Any questions? Okay. Unless you have something to say, we'll invite someone else could come up and speak on it, and then we'll talk, and then issue our recommendation for approval right now.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone else want to have any comment? Is there any questions? All right. For me, because I understand, Mr. Taylor, your position and the issues that come up with this material. But just looking at the requirements for the variance, I don't see that they're met, and so for me, it would be a recommendation to deny. Mr. Kleinberg and Mr. Jones, y'all have any?
I can second that.
Okay. And, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I understand the need for it. I very, very much understand the need for it, but taking it all into consideration, I don't think that we have enough information for, you know, the differences between the materials. I would like to see that more, but I also think it runs a dangerous setting a precedence for all the other buildings and what we prefer as a municipality, of the look of our city and our businesses. But I also do not see where the stipulations have been met, so it would be enough for me.
So at this point, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of a recommendation to deny the variance, say aye. Aye. So that will be our recommendation. And again, as was mentioned, we are a body that recommends things to the city council, and they're the ultimate decision makers. All right. Since that was our last item of unfinished business, we'll go into new business for item number 1, request by applicant Dana Holt, on behalf of Michael R. and Rebecca Jenkins. Okay.
All right, good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. So the next item we have before you is a request by applicant Dana Holt on behalf of Michael R. and Rebecca L. Jenkins, the owners of property located at 10 Mountain City Drive. The subject property is in a C2 general commercial and is approximately 8/10 of an acre in size. And the applicant is looking for a special use permit to allow for commercial furniture manufacturing. So to give you some brief context on the site is located just southeast of the Walmart on the west side of the Mountain City Business Park. It has approximately 200 feet of frontage on Old Philadelphia Road and 230 feet of frontage on Mountain City Drive. And it is improved with an existing 5,000 square foot office warehouse building that is currently served by city water and sewer. And so to provide some more context from the street level, to the north, we have a commercial center zone C1. To the east and south, we have other office and warehouse buildings, zone C2 as part of the Mountain City Business Park. And to the west, we have another commercial shopping center zone C2. Ms. Holt is the president and CEO of Infinite Hospitality Resources, which manufactures commercial restaurant furniture for a restaurant group out of Kentucky. Her business is currently based in Talking Rock, but they are looking to relocate to the city of Jasper due to the more convenient transportation options, as well as to support an increase in demand. Infinite Hospitality is a business-to-business company, so they're not going to be open to the public. And their standard hours of operation are 8 to 6, Monday through Friday, but their crew will also travel extensively out of state for the furniture installations. So in the C2 district, manufacturing of finished or semi-finished products, such as making furniture from wood, does require a special use permit. And just one thing I did want to touch on is the applicant is only proposing millwork or the mechanical conversion at this site. She met with our fire marshal, Greg Chapman, who gave her some advice about retrofit requirements to get a paint booth to accommodate chemical finishing, and that's not something that she's going to pursue at this time. So when we evaluate a special use permit request, we look to the future development map in the Pickens County Joint Comprehensive Plan, which designates the site as part of the Jasper Arterial Commercial Corridor. And this land use designation promotes the free and efficient movement of goods and traffic. So just given the commercial use context of the area being within the Mountain City Business Park and the minimal traffic impact associated with Ms. Holt's business, we do not anticipate any adverse impacts as a result of the special use permit. So with that, staff is recommending approval subject to the following conditions. The first being that the use will be limited to the millwork for the creation of furniture. The second being that no staining or chemical finishing is allowed unless a paint booth and ventilation system is approved by the city of Jasper. Outdoor storage areas, as applicable, are required to be screened, which is sourced in our zoning ordinance. The parking lot shall be restriped and updated to comply with our ADA parking requirements. A business license will be required. Signage must be approved by the city prior to installation. And then our standard stipulation that no commitments, warrants, or guarantees are made regarding future utility availability. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant, Ms. Holt, is in attendance this evening as well.
So are there any other manufacturing usages in that development?
I believe that there may be one slightly to the east within the Mountain City Business Park, but I know that there are automotive uses, warehousing, fabrication, like contractor suppliers.
There's a cabinet shop right behind us.
Questions?
It seems
I don't have
like
any
falls in
questions.
line with where it needs to be.
Yeah, they answered all my questions when we were talking about chemicals and
Paint
and
booth.
all of that stuff. That was my number one, being right where it's at.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to invite anyone in attendance to speak, make comments, ask questions. Hearing none, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve with the stated conditions.
No motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We will pass along our recommendation to the city council. All right. At this time, I don't see any other items to take care of unless someone else sees something that I don't. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
No motion to adjourn.
A second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 6:28.
Good.